As 2024 draws to a close, the echoes of punches and roaring crowds still resonate. This year delivered it all. New champions, epic rivalries, and unforgettable upsets. In boxing, nothing captivates like the nights when underdogs flip the script and steal the show. Tonight, we revisit the greatest shocks of 2024, where the improbable became reality. Welcome back to Fight Story.
And I'm in America to do a business. I'm not here to joke, I'm not here to play. I'll knock him out.
2024 gave us its share of unforgettable nights, but none shook the boxing world quite like Ryan Garcia's shocking encounter with DEVIN HANEY. This wasn't just an upset, it was a story that left the sport in disbelief, rewriting the narrative for both fighters in one dramatic night. DEVIN HANEY came into the bout as the picture of perfection. The former undisputed lightweight champion, Ryan Garcia, on the other hand, was the polar opposite. His wild antics in the lead-up, breaking down publicly and behaving erratically, left fans and critics alike questioning his focus.
Empty, drank it all myself.
The odds reflected this turmoil. Haney, the calculated tactician, at -1,000 against Garcia, the unpredictable star, at a staggering +680. When the bell rang, the fight took a turn that no one could have predicted. In the first round, and the fight was officially ruled a no contest. The spotlight shifted to Puerto Rico, where Subriel Matias, the ferocious IBF super lightweight champion, prepared to defend his title in front of an electric hometown crowd. At -650, Matias was the clear favorite, his power and relentless style making him a nightmare for any opponent. Adding to the night's significance, Puerto Rican legend Tito Trinidad watched from ringside, a symbol of the island's rich boxing heritage. Across the ring stood Liam Paro, the +450 underdog from Australia, determined to silence the doubters. Matias began as expected, pressing forward with heavy shots that reverberated through the arena. The crowd roared as he pushed Paro to the brink, but the Australians stayed composed, slipping punches and firing back with sharp counters. Paro's footwork and timing disrupted Matias's relentless attack, slowly shifting the momentum. By the later rounds, the tide had fully turned. Matias, visibly fatigued, struggled to keep up as Paro peppered him with precise combinations. Each punch landed cleanly, silencing the once deafening crowd. The champion, overwhelmed and unable to respond, found himself in survival mode as the final bell rang. Against all odds, Liam Paro had done the unthinkable, dethroning one of the division's most feared champions in front of his stunned hometown fans. It was a night that proved no champion is invincible and no underdog should ever be counted out. On July 27th, Derek Chisora entered the ring for what he declared would be his final fight at the iconic venue, and potentially the last of his storied career. Across from him stood Joe Joyce, battling to resurrect his reputation after back-to-back defeats to Zhilei Zhang. With Joyce as the -400 favorite and Chisora a +300 underdog, the narrative seemed clear. A farewell defeat for Del Boy at the hands of a man desperate to reclaim his status as a heavyweight contender. From the opening bell, Joyce sought to dictate the fight, using his jab and trademark pressure to keep Chisora on the defensive. But Chisora, determined to leave everything in the ring, met him head-on. Fueled by the crowd's deafening support, he stood his ground and turned the fight into a slugfest, trading blow for blow with a formidable Joyce. The pivotal moment came in the 9th round. As Joyce moved forward, Chisora uncorked a perfectly timed overhand right that sent the juggernaut to the canvas. The crowd erupted as Joyce rose unsteadily, and Chisora, sensing the moment, pressed forward with a relentless assault that left Joyce reeling until the final bell. When the fight concluded, Chisora raised his hands and the O2 arena exploded in celebration. Against all odds, the veteran warrior had handed Joyce his 3rd defeat and ended his own tenure at the O2 on a triumphant high note. The heavyweight division roared back to life on August 3rd at the BMO Stadium in Los Angeles, where Jared Big Baby Anderson, the undefeated phenom touted as the future of the division, stepped into the ring as the -190 favorite. Across from him stood Martin Bakole, a +155 underdog, a battle-tested Congolese contender who had waited patiently for his moment to shine. What followed would become one of the most stunning upsets of the year. From the opening bell, Piccoli made his intentions clear. In a shocking turn of events, he dropped Anderson with a thunderous shot in the first round, silencing the crowd and disrupting the young star's game plan. Though Anderson beat the count and fought on, the damage was done. The fifth round brought the climax. Piccoli, patient and composed, delivered a perfectly timed right hand that staggered Anderson once again. Smelling blood, Piccoli unleashed a relentless assault, driving Anderson into the ropes with a barrage of punches. With Anderson unable to defend himself, the referee stepped in to wave off the fight, sealing Piccoli's victory. In just 5 rounds, Martin Piccoli handed Jared Anderson his first professional loss in devastating fashion. On a warm August evening in Albuquerque, New Mexico, the spotlight fell on Luis Alberto El Venado Lopez, the relentless IBF featherweight champion, known for his high-pressure style and punishing power. Across the ring stood Angelo Leo, a former super bantamweight champion looking to resurrect his career. Lopez entered as the heavy favorite at -475, while Leo, a +350 underdog, was widely seen as a step behind the division's elite. From the opening bell, Lopez pushed the pace, backing Leo up with relentless aggression and heavy-handed combinations. But Leo, cool under pressure, began to disrupt Lopez's rhythm with precise counters and sharp footwork. The defining moment came in the 10th round of the year. Angelo Leo's 10th round knockout victory wasn't just an upset, it was a career-defining moment. Under the bright lights of Wembley Stadium on September 21, 2024, the heavyweight division delivered a moment that shook the boxing world to its core. Anthony Joshua, a 2-time heavyweight champion, entered the ring as the -400 favorite, riding the momentum of a career resurgence. Across from him stood Daniel Dubois, the +300 underdog, a fighter seeking redemption after years of criticism. For many, this was supposed to be a routine night for Joshua. What unfolded was anything but. From the opening bell, he managed to survive the opening round, but the message was clear. This was Dubois' fight to win. In the rounds that followed, Joshua, this time with no chance of recovery. The referee waved off the fight as Joshua lay motionless on the mat, the Wembley crowd stunned into silence. In a stunning upset, Daniel Dubois captured the IBF heavyweight title, handing Anthony Joshua one of the most shocking defeats of his career. Dubois' victory wasn't just an upset, it was a statement. On October 12th, under the bright lights of Riyadh, Ben Whittaker, the Olympic silver medalist and rising star of British boxing, entered the ring as the overwhelming -1600 favorite. Across from him stood Liam Cameron, a gritty veteran and +940 underdog, widely dismissed as a stepping stone in Whittaker's rise. From the outset, the narrative seemed to hold until it didn't. The first round belonged to Whittaker, who showcased his skill and speed, dictating the pace with crisp combinations and fluid movement. But as the fight progressed, Cameron began to weather the storm. By the second round, he was absorbing Whittaker's best shots and pressing forward, turning the tide. Cameron's aggression and determination started to break through Whittaker's defenses, and the underdog began to assert himself, landing heavy shots that visibly shook the favorite. The crowd, initially subdued, sensed the momentum shifting. Then in the fifth round, chaos erupted. During a heated exchange near the ropes, the two fighters became entangled, and their clinch spiraled into disaster as both tumbled out of the ring. The Riyadh crowd gasped as Whittaker landed awkwardly, immediately clutching his ankle in visible pain. Medical staff rushed to his aid, but it was clear he couldn't continue. The referee was forced to call the fight a technical split draw. For Liam Cameron, it was a bittersweet result. He had not only survived, but had begun to dominate the heavily favored Whittaker before the incident. For Whittaker, the bizarre ending served as a harsh reminder of boxing's unpredictability. Under the bright lights of Orlando, Florida on October 19th, the super welterweight division witnessed one of its most shocking moments of the year. Tim Tszyu, the son of boxing royalty and riding a wave of hype, entered the ring as the heavy -400 favorite. Tim exuded confidence, eager to deliver a performance that would further cement his rising status and honor his father's storied legacy. Across from him stood Bakram Murtazaliev, a rugged plus 300 underdog. From the opening on December 14th in Tijuana, Mexico, boxing fans witnessed one of the year's most shocking upsets. Jaime Munguia, touted as one of the best 168-pounders in the division, and riding high off a formidable performance against Canelo Alvarez earlier in the year, entered the ring as a massive minus 2,500 favorite. His opponent, Bruno Serras, a little-known French contender, was dismissed as a plus 1420 underdog, a placeholder opponent expected to fall quickly. What unfolded, however, left the boxing world in disbelief. From the opening bell, Munguia came out aggressive, determined to give his hometown crowd a show. The sixth round brought the unthinkable. In a moment that will be replayed for years, Serras landed a perfectly timed overhand right, catching Munguia flush on the chin. The hometown hero crumpled to the canvas, unable to beat the count. The packed arena fell into stunned silence as the referee waved off the fight. Bruno Serras, the plus 1420 underdog, had just handed Jaime Munguia the first knockout loss of his career.